Okay, we'll call the regular meeting of the Tracy City Council for Monday, June 25th. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Evening, Dave Harrison, Tracy Presbyterian. A word of wisdom from James, chapter 1, verse 5. If any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given him. But when he asks, he must believe and not doubt, because he who doubts is like a wave of the sea blown and tossed by the wind. So Father, we ask for wisdom for these council meetings and the one tonight to see beyond this day and time as only you can. And we pray for your guidance and direction. And for our country as a whole as well. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Does he want to stay standing? We have an oath to take.
Right over here, raise your right hand. You do it there. Chris, do you solemnly swear or affirm to support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Minnesota and the Charter and ordinances of City of Tracy, and do faithfully discharge the duties devolving upon you as member or as the city administrator of the City of Tracy to the best of your judgment and ability?
I do.
Thank you.
Stay standing, Chris, because I want everybody at home, all the viewers at home, we want to introduce Chris Abdul, the new city administrator. Everybody had a chance to review the agenda? The minutes?
I'd make a motion to approve as written.
I'll second.
We have first and second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The approval of the agenda is written.
Add 11E, National Night Out request for a donation to be used for the rental of picnic tables. And additional 13C is a resolution for 2018-33 approving payment to Rainier Contracting, work completed on stabilization funds.
Okay, do we have a motion to add these to agenda? And approve it?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anybody have any conflict of interest tonight? Moving on. Anybody from the public want to talk about something that is not on the agenda? Public hearings we can't have yet. So department heads. Val, you want to go?
Well, as I'm sure everybody saw, either in the Marshall or Tracy paper last week, we went to, the Marshall librarian and I went to the county commissioners meeting, and we not only got the $5,000 that we were asking for digital materials, but they gave us $2,000 to use for our large print rotation that we started in December. So basically this year, we're hoping that if we keep an eye on the sales, that we should have all new books for that next year. So that's really exciting. And we just talked to them about some of the ways we're trying to work together and what we're doing in our individual libraries. And they asked us to come back later this year. So other than that, we have our summer reading program going strong. We're really busy with that. We have weekly programming, and we have some other special things coming up, one in July and a couple in August. So, any questions?
Great job.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Dale, would you like to go?
I'll be fairly brief. Some things going on in the fire hall. We just did our annual certification, service and test and certification of our pump trucks. The 2 newer trucks passed with some minor repairs. The older truck actually failed rather horribly. They're getting us an estimate on repairs to get the pump up and running on that. Training's been going well, lots of different stuff. We did Skywarn, which the guys were out last night for a couple hours. We got our Skywarn in last month. What else did we do last month? Oh, last month we did a complete tour of CHS. They took us through every building they had in town, identified every hazard, all their different workspaces, what chemicals and everything were in it, and then they actually treated us to a Subway catered lunch afterwards, or supper afterwards. Other than that, a couple different smaller grants that are out there. Looking into the one, there's a bigger staffing grant that's out there right now, which would give us some huge training resources. We wrote the annual state training grant and got that all submitted and all the roster forms in for that. So we should be hearing back on that here by beginning of July. So just in a couple weeks we should hear something on that. Our new Jaws of Life, which already are old enough that they had to be serviced and tested, they passed with flying colors. That was promising. Other than that, I don't have much, unless you have a question.
Thank you for your,
Thanks.
Yep.
Jason.
I don't have much for you, other than what I put in my packet, so if you have any questions about what I put in the report, I'll take those.
No, you're good.
Thank you, sir.
Sandy, I see you behind Jeff there. Sandy.
She's hiding.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing I have is a question, and that's the 4th of July. I was thinking maybe I could be open 11 to 3, and I mean, if it's really busy, I could stay later.
I think that sounds like a good idea.
Yep, that's.
And we've done it in the past, we've left it up to Sandy just to, on the holidays, just to, essentially just inform us, so. So do it to it.
My picture taken.
Make it happen.
So Seth, put it in bold print. Put it in bold print that the liquor store will be open on 4th of July.
And we expect you first in line.
Do you have any questions?
That's good, thank you. Jeffrey.
Okay, I'd like to talk a little bit about, from the EDA side, it's been a busy few weeks, and I put on everybody's little spot there, except for yours, Pam, before you got there, so you'll have to steal from somebody else. We've been talking about housing for 9 months, I suppose, or 8 months since I've been here, and we've got a few things that I believe in the next few weeks are going to start taking reality, or taking shape. What I put in front of everybody there would have been what I would like to see. It's in the city the size of Tracy, and there's all kinds of cities across the country, across the state, across the county that are running into the same problems. There's lack of housing. And you got to have something where, before you can have a house for sale, you got to have something for someone to move into. And that's what my call it a vision, call it whatever you want, but I see what you've got in front of you right now. I see some of those being built, and then on the property that's on the back side of the second page that's in front of you. And I believe that's very important, because if we can get people into those, it keeps people here as opposed to maybe having to move to Marshall for the new housing. And if we can keep them here, which there has been some people that have left Tracy because there hasn't been some new housing. So if we can start creating that type of thing, then some of their houses come up for sale here in Tracy. And then you've got some people that want to upgrade from where they're at to those houses, and then you've got other houses that are available for people. So in the future, you're going to see me talking a lot about these type of things. It's a lot of legwork, a lot of talking, a lot of, you're going to see here very, very soon. There's going to be a couple things that are going to be bought by the EDA or by the city. And you got to have a place to put these things, and they got to be desirable places to build new places. So that's, if you got any questions, you should probably hold on a couple weeks until some of these come into fruition, and then we can see when we can start getting some of these built. Other than that, that's kind of all I wanted to talk about tonight, was just the housing here in Tracy and where we're going to be going. So any questions from anybody? Anything?
Keep it up.
Yeah, that'd be nice. And you think about it, what happens when you take a blank lot that isn't bringing in anything in taxes, and you add whether it's $100,000 or $200,000 or $300,000 worth of housing in there, you look at the tax base that gets in, that's a part of the economic development, is you raise the taxes so not everybody has to. I mean, if you can put up one of these places, you can afford the taxes there too. Okay.
Thank you.
Emmett?
Can you get in there?
Yeah, I'll be quick here. Just going over, I guess the biggest thing is we're trying to keep up with grass between raindrops. We did get 9 tons of pothole mix. When it quits raining, we'll get them filled. Right now, they haven't really seemed to dry out for us to get them to stick. So, the other thing I didn't have in my report, I did put an ad out, and I talked to Jason about putting it in Nixle too, and we'll get it on Facebook. It's hard for us to coordinate with the paper as far as mosquito spraying and dealing with the weather and what brings ahead a whole week. So we're going to put an ad in there. We're just going to spray throughout the summer. We're going to put it on Nixle, Facebook. We'll run a few ads periodically in the paper, and probably put it on the carousel and the TV too. So just so everybody's aware of that. We're shooting for Wednesday this week. If the weather, as long as the wind stays down and it doesn't rain, we'll probably be spraying for mosquitoes after dusk. As far as everything else goes, a lot of it's kind of waiting on the weather, but you have any other questions for me?
I'm sure people will be happy when you can get those potholes done.
Yeah, we will be too.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shane.
Thanks.
Is it close enough to 6:45, or do we squeeze in one?
It's
Chris,
6:44, so-
Chris, if you got anything that you,
How was your
in your
first
first day on the job that you want.
Busy.
Okay.
Good, very good.
So if people want to talk to you, what's the best way for them to come in? Come in the main doors there, check with the office, or just come in, or what's best?
I would say check with the office, because then if I'm with someone else or doing something else, then they can field that and help them. But otherwise, my office is right there, and it's taxpayer funded, so please come in.
You know you're gonna have to do little speeches like these guys do every council meeting, filling us in on everything.
This we can do.
Okay. Okay, are you good if we go?
Yep.
We will do the public hearing for 6:45 for the authorizing City of Tracy to charge and collect for emergency fire protection services. Shane, fill us in on that.
This is, I don't know if Dale can maybe hit on
Oh,
this one
Dale's
too. But what it is it's It's an ordinance that allows us to, I believe, tax, like a rural, say rural property, if there was a fire. Still haven't got to it in the packet here, but,
I think an example,
What this covers is, this allows the city, just like in the city limits, everybody technically who lives in the city limits who's a taxpayer has contracted fire service. I believe it was in 2006, the league sent out the first recommendation to councils to adopt this with anybody that you have a contract with. And simply what it says is, we have a fire at Councilman Peterson's house, he doesn't pay the $750 bill, we just put it on his tax, we apply it to his taxes after a certain amount of time. So what this does is then allows us, being the taxing district for everybody we contract with is the townships, this, when they sign the contract, the township is allowing us to actually assess to their taxes any fire call bill.
well, and doesn't it also cover if you respond like to a car accident? And you put out a car fire and that person lives in
Iowa.
yeah, in
Correct.
Iowa. If they don't pay, it allows you to
Correct.
put it on their taxes back where they're from, if they own property or whatever.
I don't know what the current verbiage is that you guys are looking at. I don't think I actually received a copy of it. I do know that the policy that we had in place was anyone that we contracted with. Now, I would guess the next step would be anybody, so I'm assuming that 12 years later, they probably got the loopholes worked out of it. But again, I haven't seen the verbiage of what you're discussing, so.
'Cause I know that was our intent when we asked Matt to draw this all up for us. Because there were incidences where
Car accidents,
Where we ate
car
it.
fires, yep.
I'm just looking here to see if we have a copy in our,
You know,
It is,
a
but
maj-
I don't see what,
A majority of
13A.
the, majority of the time when you're dealing with car fires or car accidents, everyone's supposed to have insurance. And we are able to bill the insurance company direct and most of them pay. Unfortunately, every insurance company has a little different rate schedule. Some insurance companies only pay up to $500, some will pay up to $2,000. So this could be something that is used to fill the gap for that, to give us the authorization to, you know, proceed further. Or if someone doesn't have insurance, you know, then obviously for the car accident and car fire portion. But most car fires, car accidents, we actually get payment from the insurance company direct.
So there's a section here on the parties that are affected. It's owners of property within the city who receive fire service. Anyone who receives fire service as a result of a motor vehicle accident or fire within the city. Owners of property in towns, townships, cities to which the city provides fire service pursuant to a fire protection or service contract. And owners of property outside the city who receive fire service. That's what it covers.
So it does, it's filling the gap from the plan we already had, which was just in our contracted area. This means, you know, you get in an accident by Minneota and you decide not to pay it, that this would give Minneota the option to submit the bill to the city of Tracy to be assessed on your taxes,
And then the rates are set by the annual fee schedule.
which is set by our regional mutual aid agreement with Region 9 and 13, so, which is nothing more than the DNR's set rate, the DNR fee schedule.
thank you for explaining that.
Sorry, I wasn't prepared. I never seen the verbiage for it, so.
You did well.
so now you open it up for the public comment.
So is there anybody from the public that wants to comment about that? Hearing none, we will close that portion of the public hearing. As long as we're at it, can we just do the resolution for that?
Yeah, I would make a motion to approve resolution 2018-31, charge of collection for emergency services.
I'll second that.
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 7 o'clock. Lyon County Historical Society. How, we have 10 minutes, so can you be done in 10 minutes?
Is this essentially what was in like the packet that we got?
Yeah, there's a little
Okay.
bit more details with it, yes.
Okay.
Color.
My name is Jennifer Andrews, and I am the Executive Director of the Lyon County Historical Society.
And my name is Andrea Hess, and I am president of the board. And with us tonight, we also have John Marshall, who is our treasurer, and also Neil Ingebrigtsen, who is our vice president. So we're here tonight to kind of explain what is going on with our packets. You can see. I wanted to give you a quick question, though, to the board. Who has been to the museum lately? Or who has seen it or been? Have you tried? Okay. Well, in case you don't know, the Lyon County Museum is now in the old library building in Marshall since they moved, which has now reached its 5-year anniversary. And with that, the board really wanted to make sure that we had a vision for the future. Because of the 3 floors and the opportunity and the space that was available. So as a board, as a whole, we sat down and created a 5-year strategic plan. And in that strategic plan, basically, we were looking at ways of bringing in interactive exhibits, looking at bringing basically creating new educational opportunities, and then also working on our collections, and then also programs and events that are going on at the museum. And all of that has kind of been accumulating over the years. The past 3 years have basically been working up to what you see in front of you in a lot of grants and preparation. And I'll let Jennifer kind of talk about exactly what grants she applied for and received to get us to this point. But just know that this has been a 5-year production in planning and receiving grants and getting to this final point.
So when we moved to the former library building, we spent several months unpacking and getting the main floor and the lower level set up. And then in about 2015, we were looking at that second floor, and the board of directors really wanted to make sure that we were telling more contemporary history. In the museum now, we have a lower level where it's the pioneer era, early history. The main floor is like early 1900s up to probably about World War II. And then the second floor, we were looking at post-World War II to today. We really feel that contemporary history, those stories, those artifacts need to be shown, and we want to dedicate that second space to that history. We also knew that we wanted to have more audio and video exhibits, more interactive exhibits, and those types of exhibits are more expensive, take more professional work and planning to do. So we reached out to the Minnesota Historical Society to see how can we utilize the legacy grants to do this exhibit gallery. And they suggested that we start first with an interpretive plan. So we applied in 2015 for an interpretive plan, and we received that grant. And in that, we were able to hire a professional museum firm to help us develop the themes that would be presented on the second floor. That interpretive plan led to other grants, it led to research, it led to a lighting evaluation plan, and then it led to the exhibit plan that you have before you. We finished the exhibit plan in May, and the exhibit plan has the different themes as far as what's going to be presented on the second floor. There are also schematic drawings that will show kind of the layout of what the space will probably look like. And what we're doing is we want to apply for a large legacy grant in July for implementation. The total cost of this project is 3,300 square feet. It's about $450,000. So we have been going around to all of the city council meetings in Lyon County this past month, and we have a few more here in July, to let the cities know what we've been working on, where we're at, and then also to ask for support for this project. With $450,000, that is a lot of money to ask for legacy funding, so we're putting as much of a cash match as we can on it. Right now, we have $50,000 committed from Lyon County. We have $2,500 committed from the city of Cottonwood. We have $30,000 that we are putting that we have in our building fund. And then we also have $1,000 committed from the city of Lynn. And we're waiting for the other communities, Marshall, Ghent, and Garvin. They were going to decide at their next council meetings. But our hope is to get up to about $130,000 that we can put as a cash match on this grant. Cash matches are favorable. They'll put our grant application a little bit higher, so we can hope to get funding.
So tonight, what we're asking is for the support from the council, and the way that we came up with the numbers and talking to the different city councils is that we took the population of Lyon County and then did a percentage of it. And so for Tracy, based on the population here, we're asking between $3,000 to $4,000 to apply towards this overall. And then that part would go towards the second floor. Now, the purpose is that this is meant for those schematics and also building of the interpretive plan up on the second floor. If we need to, all we need to know is the commitment for right now, because by the time Jennifer actually applies for the grant, which would be in July, we wouldn't actually know if we were awarded the grant until December of this year, which means that implementation wouldn't actually take place until your 2019 fiscal budget. If for some reason we did not receive the funds this year, we would apply for it again next year, so it wouldn't actually hit your budget until 2020. The goal is on, at least for the board and as far as Jennifer's side of things, we are pushing hard to get it so that we can implement it in 2019, because in 2020, Lyon County turns 150, and we would love to have a large celebration with the opening of this new exhibit space for our celebration.
Does anyone have any questions for us about the themes or the drawings before you?
I think it's pretty well spelled out in your
Okay.
information.
Yeah.
So tonight you're asking for a dollar amount, or are you asking for us to say that we will support you, but we need to look at our budget and see what we could figure out and get back to you with a dollar amount?
Yes, we need it, but before July 20th is when the grant is due. Yeah.
I mean, I think we, we're definitely supporting it. Do we need to?
I think we just need, like, at next meeting, bring it up
Look at the budget.
as a point in budget and
Yeah.
see what we'd be able to contribute.
Are you reaching out to any other sources for funding other than just the communities? I mean,
Yes.
Yeah, we have applied for a U.S. Bank Foundation grant in the amount of $10,000 that we are waiting to hear on. We are also setting up meetings with businesses in Lyon County. We've met with Hy-Vee. We have a meeting with Relco on Friday. So we're also looking at businesses too. In that exhibit plan, one of the main themes is industries in Lyon County. One is farming in Lyon County. One is community in Lyon County. So we're kind of targeting those areas. Yeah. Another thing tonight too, along with asking for financial support, we're also asking for support, and then when we do get to implementation, whether it's in January of 2019 or the following year, we will be seeking out more oral histories, more artifacts from around the county to be represented on the second floor. So we will be looking for support in those ways too.
Does the second floor, I'm assuming, has an elevator?
It does, yes. Yep. Yeah, it is a successful building. Yeah.
So do we want to table this until the next meeting? Do we want to tell them that we have a commitment? We just need to know how much.
I would just put it as an agenda item for the next meeting, just to go through the whole, I mean, yes, we'll support it. It's just how much we could financial.
Yeah,
And then we could let you know, because we meet on the 9th, so like
that'd be great.
the 10th or 11th, we could
Perfect.
forward on the info, I would think.
That'd be
Okay
fantastic.
with you guys? Chris that as a project.
Second.
Throw them in the budget. that way.
Yep.
And please share this plan with family members, friends. This is public information. This was all legacy funded, so it's public and.
Right. We want to spread the word as much as possible.
Yeah.
So if you have people asking questions, or if you know of any stories, send them on down to Jennifer.
With moving to this new building, we're really trying to make a big effort that all of the communities in Lyon County are represented, not only on the second floor, but throughout the museum, with it being the Lyon County Museum.
Exactly.
What are the museum hours?
We are open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 to 5. Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. Yep, 10 to 5. Thursday, it's 10 to 7. And Saturday, it's 10 to 4. And it's open year round.
We do have one more request also, just to give a heads up. We do have a couple board members that have reached their term, basically this fall. If you know of anybody that would like to be a part of this exciting time, let them know also.
Yeah,
So
we'll be
we're
looking for
spreading the
board
word.
members.
Yep, we will be looking for board members starting next year as well.
Okay. Thank you guys for
Well,
coming.
thank you.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you for having
We'll
us.
get back to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Now we can do the public hearing at 7 for the amending section 2.03 of Charter of the City of Tracy. So Rosemary, would you like to tell us about that?
My name is Rosemary Martin. I'm from Tracy. I'm also the chair of the Charter Committee. In your packet, you have the proposals, which would be to change the council size from,
I don't want to interrupt you, but there's the new one is 13B, not the one
Okay.
in the packet.
already,
You want to look at that?
thank you so much, would change the size of the council from 4 to 6, and to change the term limits to straight language of 14 years to also encompass any appointments, make sure that a person would get 3 fully elected terms. This again came to us unanimously, which is kind of a trick for 11 people to do. So we would ask that you pass it unanimously as well. Do you have any questions? And it would, as it was spoken before, it would be split into 2 separate parts, hopefully, in the regular election, which would address the term limits as one, and the size of the council as the other, so people can vote individually for each one. And have their full say. It would be the citizens' full say then, what it is they would want. Do you have any questions? Thank you.
We'll open it up to the public. Is there somebody from the public that would like to speak about this?
I'm also on the Charter Commission, and my name is Shirley Anderson, but I want to speak as a public person that I think I would respectfully ask that you all vote for this to go to the voters and let them make the decision. Thank you.
Shirley? Anybody else from the public want to talk about that?
I'm Richard Brown, and I feel that we don't need to increase the size of the council. It's fine the way it is, and I'm against the term limits proposal because I think it's just a personal vendetta by a few people that are against certain people that have been on serving as mayor and council members in the past. And my question is, would that 14 years be retroactive for past time, or is it from here on?
You go from here on.
Okay, but I I guess I'm just against it. I feel that there's personal agendas and vendettas against people, and as a city person, I'm sick of the upheaval that has been taking place this past year and the character assassinations on certain council members. I'm tired of it. They were good people, and they are good people. And I don't think we need to, we had the extra cost of the special election, and I guess I'm just against, I don't think it's for the betterment of the community that we do this. It was voted on a few years, the council we have right now is just fine. I guess that's all I'll say. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Anybody else from the public want to talk about this? Hearing none, we'll close that portion of the public hearing.
On the council discussion for the resolution. I got 2 points. When the first came to the council to reduce the size from 7 to 6, I voted against doing that, and that's what drove it to the ballot initiative. And that was based upon talking to a number of people that didn't want it to go down. As the vote turned out, about the number of people that I talked to were the same number that voted not to reduce it, which worked out to be about a 2-to-1 against them, which resulted in the council being reduced. I'm a little, I can't say torn, I'm a little confused as to why we'd want to overturn a 2-to-1 majority. And I'm not opposed, because it's not going to be at an additional cost, I don't believe, to add this to the ballot, we got to buy the ballots anyway, we can put on whenever we want to. So I'm not worried about a cost because it's coming up in the election year. But I think, and to echo Doc's sentiments there, I think we need to be cognizant of how other people feel about this. And I intend to vote no on this resolution strictly to guarantee that it goes to a vote by the people. Because if it's a unanimous, they can actually put it right in there, no matter how it's written. So if you want to do your roll call, I'm going to be a nay. So that's where I'm at on it.
You're doing a nay because you want it to go to the vote,
Yep.
right?
It has to go.
Also, if we all agreed yes, then it wouldn't have to go to the public.
It wouldn't have to.
Okay. I do think it should go to the public.
Okay, so I made the motion last meeting that we would approve for it to have the public hearing and that we would have it go to the public vote. I'm a little confused as to why me or somebody would have to remake that same motion. I thought we've already addressed this.
That's why I'm voting no, because I didn't think we needed a resolution to make it go to the vote. I'm a little nervous about a resolution in the first place.
I am too.
So,
I mean, because my motion was that we would conduct the public hearing, but it would go to the voters no matter what. So I guess I'm not sure about approving this resolution, because I'm kind of there with Tony. I don't want this to appear that this is a unanimous thing and it can just go into place. I want it voted on. So I'm a little confused how to rephrase my motion or something, because the resolution is more or less saying what I said last week, or 2 weeks ago at the last meeting.
So that's what Matt gave us to do.
So this is official then? You're pushing this forward officially, even though it was maybe, I wouldn't say not the right steps, but this is addressing every concern and it's in writing then?
But this resolution, if we voted all yes, then it wouldn't have to go to the vote though.
Correct.
Okay, so as long as,
and even if we all vote no, They can still do their petition, they still have time, they can get it on the ballot.
I know, but I feel very strongly about these petitions and
Yeah.
everything. I
Yeah.
don't want to go that route. So I just wanted to go to the voters. If the choice is, it's going to go to the voters one way or another, I'd rather go to the voters by council saying it goes to the voters.
And that's why I said I'll be the nay vote to not worry about the unanimous on this, and we got it covered both ways.
So according to the resolution 2018-32 on the new 13B, it says, after consideration was given to the public comments, the city council unanimously voted to have the proposed ordinance number 367 be submitted to qualified voters of the city of Tracy at next general election on November 6th. So I guess to me, the resolution is to
That's saying
have
that we
it,
can
to
put it to the vote.
put it to the vote.
Okay, so then this is okay.
So as it's written, if it's not unanimous, it will go to the vote.
No.
No, it
It has to be
won't.
petitioned.
Yeah, then it has to be petitioned.
Yep.
Right.
And I'm again confused as to why we had two resolutions. I mean, who wrote the first 2832 before we rewrote it?
So Matt sent the ordinance, and usually it's just adding the resolution number at the top of the ordinance. But Shane and I looked at it and decided that we better check because we weren't comfortable with the way it was written. So that's when Matt came back with that second ordinance, or second resolution.
The way the ordinance is written is, it was a one question. So it was a yes or no on everything, where the council decided to keep it separate on the term limits and the number of council members.
Right, and that's what we asked for it to be. That's why,
Yep.
who wrote, my question is, who wrote the first 1832 that was sent out to us?
That was in our.
Matt did.
Huh?
Matt did.
And then we paid him to write another one.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Because
We were just
we can
questioning
talk
the
to him.
fact that the two questions weren't separated, and that's when Shane called and asked him, and he said, send it to me, I'll
Yeah, that's when we shouldn't have to write, because he didn't do what he was supposed to the first time. We shouldn't have to pay for the first time that you wrote it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's,
Well, it's something I'll talk to him about. He'll love me. That'll be my first.
He'll love you from day
We are
one.
so glad you're here.
That's okay.
That list isn't that long yet.
Yeah. So I'll talk to him about that then.
Okay, so now, the one that's in front of us now, not the one that was sent to us, the one that's in front of us, to me, it's redundant,
yep.
because it has broken out into questions 1 and 2, and then it's redundant and restates the question number 1 and 2.
With 4 times of the yes and no's.
Yes,
That's, you know, it's,
but I don't want to ask him to write it a third time, because he'll charge us for the third time.
Was there anything that you don't like in this one, besides the redundancy? Because redundancy is fine as long as it gets through. Is there anything?
No, I guess, because reading this where it says, now therefore be it resolved that the proposed ordinance, both of them here, number 1 and 2, say that will go to appear on the ballot in the form of 2 separate questions. So I'm fine with what that says, because that's what we asked for. I just don't know why he has this restated.
I'm
So
not,
I will, but. if-
I'm not really fond of having an order, or a resolution written with a vote and it hasn't even been discussed or voted on. I mean, that's why I'm not, I'm not at all comfortable with it. And to be honest, whether we take action on the resolution tonight or we table it till next week till we have one that's written properly, it doesn't make, the public hearing's been accomplished. We should not have to redo another public hearing.
No.
So I would,
Just so we have enough time for it to go to the ballot, that would be my one concern.
There'd be plenty of time.
there's plenty of time for it to get on the ballot. You got the end of August. Whatever the closeout date is for filing, that's when this have to get on the ballot. So there's plenty of time there.
So if every vote is against it, it will automatically go to the vote.
No, then it would be a petition.
Then it goes to a petition.
If they all vote
But-
yes, then it will go to a vote.
Then it will, okay.
Well, the way it's written, you're correct.
Yeah.
The way it happened last time, there was no petition involved. One council member voted no, and it went to the ballot right off that without a permission, without the petition, because that was the next step. The last time we had this vote on the council side, that's what happened. There was no petition filed or collected. They just said, well, we'll put it on the ballot, and that was, so.
So should we table it till next time so it's written
Clearly?
clearly and properly?
So,
To be honest, I don't know.
But if, I mean, if everything in here is okay and we're gonna send it to the voters, we wanna pay him to rewrite it again, just to take a few things out? As long as this.
I'm not gonna vote for anything that is as convoluted as this particular thing is, and
this is only two.
if you,
Well, then we just gotta make sure he doesn't get paid again.
yep, I agree. It,
Seriously, we gotta wait till he gets his bill, because you can't say
Correct.
how long, you know, before we get a new one.
so we've had the hearing, we can move on with the rest of the, because you don't even take up the resolution until you get down to
So we get down to the end.
13B, so.
Yep.
Okay, well, we'll move on till we get down there then. Are you guys okay if we move on? Okay, so we have the petition of local improvement for Kimberly Patterson.
I'd make a motion to approve that.
I'll second that.
First and second, any discussion?
On that discussion, Shane, is that gonna be just the sewer and hooking up the sump pump intercept, or no?
I believe just the sewer. That's how it's written.
Does she have a sump pump?
I don't know that she has a sump pump in that house.
I would only ask on that is that we check, and if she does, to include it in this petition,
Okay,
so we get everybody's eye and eye where it belongs.
yep. And I know she's done part of her sewer there. I don't know that there is a footing drain. That
Yeah, I
basin's
don't
pretty
either,
shallow,
but
but if there is,
it'd be worth the question.
Double
Yeah.
check it to make sure we're not having to go back.
yeah. Will do.
Okay, with that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Senior dining request for use of storage room at the MPC and to waive the fee.
It's in your packet. I was approached by Kim Callis, who works for LSS, who works for the city, who's also involved in senior dining. LSS moved their storage out and got it all in one spot, and they're reducing their inventory. There's a place underneath the steps that LSS was using. The request was to allow senior dining to store their Christmas decorations and well, other seasonal decorations in that area without paying a fee. They're using the building anyway. That senior dining has raised money for the center. They've purchased items for the center. A lot of that stuff is donated or purchased by those people who are donating its use to the citizens of Tracy, and I would just soon see it, no fee allowed to do what they need to do.
There's rooms like that aren't on the fee schedule. It's not really a rentable room or anything like that. It's just a closet that they want to utilize for
And it makes sense.
their storage, so.
To do what they're gonna do with it, so.
Which LSS was using it, but then LSS said, hey, everything's gotta go in this one room. So now they're making the request through senior
Downsizing
dining
their
instead of
inventory.
LSS, so. That's
Well,
kind
I'd make the motion to let senior dining use that storage space as no cost.
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval and set public hearing for sale of EDA property.
So back to the housing thing. So the EDA and the city did own a couple properties just up the street here. It was 58 and 62 was the address of Morgan Street. And we had gotten those put together because both lots were a little bit too small to put anything on that can be built anymore. So we put those together, and we have someone in the community that would like to move a house into town, put it on a basement, and put a either an attached two-car garage or a detached. Either way, it doesn't matter. But for something like that, we're not collecting any taxes off that at all right now. We're putting a nice house. The EDA, the board, and myself, we kind of went through that, where we have some lots here in town that could be for sale if people wanted them, and we would give them to at a very, very low amount of money, as long as they incur all the bills that go along with it. That would mean the filing fees, if they have to, any kind of hookups to water, sewer, anything that needs to be done. They're bare lots right now. But I've already, it's some of the things that were written in there was I get to check to see what the house looks like before it gets moved in, and I get to put a date on it, where too many times in the past, I believe here in the city of Tracy, we sold things to people and then they sit on them and or don't do anything and return them into storage sheds. Well, if the EDA owns something, which they do right now with these two lots, or one lot now, we put this together. I investigated just a little bit, went out and looked at the house. It's a very nice house to get moved in. I asked for a date of December 31st to get it put in there, and then we will have something on the tax roll. So that has to go to, I think Diana and I talked, that has to go to a public hearing in 2 weeks, any kind of sale, even though it's going to be $1. So that's all I needed to say about that tonight, I guess. Is there anything else I need to do, Diane, besides?
We'll have to get a notice.
Get a notice put in the paper, so you need the addresses, the description of it, and then who's buying it and everything?
No.
No? Okay, so anything else I need from the council tonight?
When's the date? Is 2 weeks sufficient time?
Probably cutting it close.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably wouldn't be able to do the
Probably have to wait till the 23rd.
23rd.
23rd of July?
Yeah. Is that going to give them enough time to get there?
Yeah, that would be fine. We got to get all the paperwork done first, and you got to get I want them to own it and do the investigation before anything of that. I just need to be able to say, yes, it's a go.
I'd make a motion then to conduct a public hearing for sale of EDA property on the 23rd of July at 6:45.
Second that?
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. National Night Out request donation to use for the rental of the picnic tables.
So in front of you, you have 11E. I attended this meeting with them. Right now, their picnic tables, our picnic tables are becoming slim. We've had to get rid of quite a few this year because of just old age. I believe, trying to figure out what his request actually is here, but
For $1,000 for table rental?
Are these like the same picnic tables that they use for Boxcar Days?
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, they had two different scenarios in the meeting. Yeah, so last year we had, in front of the city council, the council had kind of guaranteed them $1,000. They needed it to put towards the event. So they're requesting this. I think the basis was per request. Each time they wanted the funds available to them, they'd had to make the formal request. So they're going to request the $1,000 for picnic table rental from, I believe, Swedes and Sanborn. And then I did talk to them. We'd get as many tables as we could for them, and then also move some bleachers in for that night. So they had.
We did put some in the budget for that to support that, didn't we?
Yes, I believe.
Or we picked a.
Where at? I'm not sure.
Or we picked a fund to take it out of. If I remember right.
I'd have to go back to the minutes and look, but.
Okay, so silly question, how much does a picnic table cost to buy? I mean, if we're looking at needing to purchase some.
Yeah, that's why I had to.
would we
reread,
be
but
better off to, I mean, yes, it's gonna cost us more than $1,000 than what they're asking, but
so right now, for the heavy duty frame, wood picnic tables, not the rubber coated ones. The rubber coated ones, they're about $1,100 a piece. But if you get the metal frames and then we put the wood on here, they're about $350. That's kind of what their initial request was, so I kind of had to read over it just to double check their request, was taking that $1,000 and put it into picnic tables. So we would just accumulate, say, 3 picnic tables a year, which we kind of already do. I budget for them every year. This year's just been a hard year because it seemed like every picnic table we owned all went south on us in 1 year. So we ended up getting rid of like 6 or 7 already this year. But we had 7 purchased from last year. But we also got rid of like 6 last year. So that's why we're down to 3 rentals. We used to have 12. So
we only have 3 picnic tables to rent?
to rent out. So
I think it's one we're gonna have to slowly build in to cover this, but for now, I think we might have to do the rental.
Yeah.
And then slowly build up our supply, hopefully.
Yeah.
I didn't know that we had that fewer picnic tables to rent, so
yeah,
we would have to buy quite a few.
we had a
if
lot of
need,
parks
like
with all
25
wood,
of them.
and the legs were falling off on them. So to prevent any further incidents, we just got rid of all of them that looked somewhat sketchy. Or if you picked them up and the boards would come off before the picnic table would leave the ground. Just
Usually a good sign.
Liability reasons I can understand.
yeah, so we're just kiboshed all those older ones and we went to the metal frame, and we'll keep on the metal frame version because they last 5 times longer. So in the long run, they're well worth it. But the rubber coated ones are anything hot people put on, they melt, or kids take hot things and burn them, and it's about anything under the sun happens to them. So they're nice in the shelters, but for like general purpose, it's nicer to have the wood top ones, especially like in Swift Lake and just a lot of those. That's kind of what they.
Well, I'll make the motion that this year we give the $1,000 to them to be able to rent the required picnic tables.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So back to our resolution 2018-32. Do we want to table this until we get a new one from Matt?
Well, I can't help but think we're making this more confusing than it is, but I just can't get it straight in my mind. It was almost better to me with the old one, because I knew to the old one that would not pass unanimously and we could go into a vote. This new one, I think he made it even more confusing. So I think we have to table it.
I agree.
I think we all agree on what we want it to do. It's just, it's not clear in what he has typed up.
So I'll contact him. So what do you want it to spell out?
Well, I guess in my mind, I thought would be a request or whatever coming from the charter to change the two separate parts of it. One, the number of council people, and the other part, the term limits. And their proposal would come to us, we would vote on that. Yep.
The vote would be to put the issue on the ballot. That was
Yep,
it.
and that we would just vote that we want these 2 questions put on the ballot. I was gonna say, why is it a resolution?
That's
I
what,
mean, I thought the motion was gonna be enough the last time. Why it has to be a resolution?
So this is,
think as we had
to go to
public hearing.
It needs to be on there
Then
twice.
Rosemary, up here.
Okay,
The fact that it's on there twice is how it should be.
So it's explaining in the first portion, what it is, what each question is. And the second portion is telling you that you'd be, and it says, the proposal ordinance 365 shall appear on the ballot in the form of two separate questions, which shall state the following. So if you pass this resolution, it will go to ballot.
and it has to be on there twice.
Yes, because where it says now therefore.
You're the expert now here. I will only say that for
We got
the
about an
first
hour
month.
into this one here, so.
After a month, then I won't be so kind.
Fair enough.
Okay, so then, okay, but now the question is if I make this resolution, does it have to be unanimous to go to the votes?
Yeah, it was.
Is there somewhere here it said unanimous?
It did, but that's why I don't,
I
I've
know.
never did a resolution where it had the council vote before the council seen the resolution. And that's just doesn't,
Isn't this a resolution then?
yeah, but it's already saying that we voted unanimously to approve it. We haven't even voted on it
Oh,
yet.
it says that in.
Are you looking at 13B or are you
Right
looking
here.
at on the?
Are you looking right here?
That's only if you approve it. If you don't approve it, then it wouldn't be a unanimous. It
Well,
wouldn't.
that's what I mean, he's
But
put
it's
the
already
vote in.
says unanimous on it.
I would feel better to have the option to have one no vote on this, so we got it covered both ways.
I see what you mean, yeah.
That's,
Unless it's a requirement that it has to be unanimous or it doesn't pass, but,
well then, an explanation on that would be,
yeah, handy.
yeah, because to this, to me, it's very presumptive that, okay, yeah, they said they wanted to go to the ballot, or to the voters, so we'll just call it unanimous without even letting them vote on it, or even seeing it before they showed up to
Yeah.
work tonight. So it's,
It's not saying that you unanimously voted on it. It's saying, after consideration given to public's comments, the city unanimously voted to have the proposed ordinance be submitted. It's saying if you pass this resolution, you're stating that.
See, we did unanimously vote last time.
Last
That we
time.
wanted it to go to, so I'm thinking it's given to the public's, after consideration was given to the public's comments. That was the comments that we had individually heard, that we discussed at the last meeting. It wasn't from the public
it wasn't from the
hearing.
public hearing, because now you got a public hearing where people objected to it.
Yeah,
So this is stating that your last vote,
was unanimous.
that was unanimous and that you wanted this pushed to the voters. And now passing this resolution pushes these questions to the voters. The way that it's worded, under whereas on the first page.
Yeah.
But a resolution itself does not have to be unanimous.
It does if you don't want it to go to the voters. If you could do this whole, change everything by resolution, and it doesn't come into effect to the first of the year, if the council unanimously voted, and that's why I want a no vote, because
But if we have a no vote,
Then
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 it
it
won't
just-
go to the voters.
It will if it's pushed by petition.
well, with this resolution, yes.
If what you're saying is true, Tony, we have till August, maybe we need to ask the question of Matt to table it till we have this totally figured out and to put it to the vote. Because it's
I
better
have
that
no
it's driven
problem with it going to the
by the
voters.
council that it goes to vote than if
I-
it's petitioned by the charter, I feel also.
I have a problem when it's rewritten before we even, it'd have been different had we gotten this last week where you could have called and found out about it and asked some questions.
Yes.
But to have this just set here tonight, the way it's written.
Yeah, we have time to table it. And the
Yeah.
other thing is when the communication came back to me, I did email him, I can show you the email I did, I included Shane and Diane on this. The clarification is that we want it in two separate sections. The,
That's what we agreed to
Right,
at the
so
last
we had
meeting.
agreed on, and we need to have it that way. And the other part of it is the term limits are actually already a part of the charter. This is just clarification of that to include also the appointments, because there's
Well,
always,
if you go back on history on your term limits,
right,
the city attorney and the previous administrator stated they are not in effect because they weren't put in the charter properly.
okay,
So
then,
technically, they're not in there.
okay, but they are in our charter, and we're just
They
clarifying it
were
to...
not voted, and they were not voted on by the council, and they were not voted on by the public, according to the research of the previous city attorney and the previous city administrator, because I asked that question
Right,
at the last general election before last.
which was totally different than the explanation I got. The explanation I got was the reason it could go forward was it was two separate offices. But we have the original charter, and it's definitely in the charter as written, that it's 12 years. But what we clarified is your concern is there are people that get appointment, they should get a go at full 12 years after their appointments. That's why we clarified it to 14 years. So we have no evidence in our charter that that was ever taken out. The only evidence in the charter, Tony, is the 2011 when they changed the council from 6 to 4.
That was the only legitimate change.
That was the only legitimate change in our charter that we see. So we have enough time for that to table and have that absolutely.
I think we need to table. It's
Right.
still too,
Fuzzy.
And I can forward on my communication from Matt as well, if that helps you clarify it. And I clarified with him, it's two separate issues, not all one, because he sent me that whole one big blurb, and I said, no, it's two separate issues.
okay, but now are you continuing to communicate with him?
No,
or
I just
you're
did that
gonna
one
go
time, because we
through-
don't need to, we don't need any more money. That was a one-time deal. So that's how come that happened like
Well,
that.
and I feel that since he's already been paid for this, we should be able to get a
Right.
clarification on it.
Right.
And I'll ask for that, and then I'll forward that email to all of you.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
I think that if you can table it till,
The next
if that's your
meeting.
wish, table it till the 9th.
Right.
This may be perfect what you want, but it's just in
Right.
legal
Wording is
jargon
goofy.
that it needs to be addressed. So I think what I should be asking for is clarification of the whereas and with the unanimous vote.
The unanimous vote would be the question.
Right.
I truly don't believe it needs a unanimous vote to go to the ballot. If that's what the resolution's for. We've got resolutions for other things that we've never done a unanimous vote on. That's a little,
But it is an ordinance, so we should make sure that we're clear.
I've voted against ordinances too. They didn't have to be unanimous vote. It's that,
I think,
there's certain things that have to be unanimous to change an ordinance without bringing it to a ballot issue. And one of them was the council size.
Right.
The other one was paying to hook up somebody's utilities on a construction project. And,
I think where he put unanimous in here is that it's the whereas. It's the past tense of your last vote was that. But I understand that you want clarification.
but that should have that date on it. It should
Okay.
not be addressing a public hearing that was just held. That's where
Okay.
it gets a little,
And then your other question was the fact that they showed up on here twice, and
yeah, that makes sense now, but
But I think that's based on how you wanted it and how it was
on
moved forward.
the second,
It has to
the
be
second
identified.
portion will be how it's going to be actually on the
Yep.
ballot.
Ballot, right.
The first one's saying this is how what we're going to put on the ballot, and that's how we're going to put it.
But there's, time is on your side,
Yeah.
and I'll
Right.
get that clarification.
Okay?
Okay, we'll table that till the next meeting. So we have Resolution 2018-33, approval of payment to Reiner Constructions, contracting for work completed on the stabilization pond.
So Reiner is requesting $354,685.04 for work completed over the past month. It's a little bit less than some of their other payments just because weather's been getting them. They haven't been able to work as much as they wanted, but as of right now, they're still on schedule to finish on time. They are looking at starting to work on some Saturdays though, so.
I'd make a motion to approve resolution number 2018-33.
Second that.
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do we have approval of the consent, the municipal accounts payable without Breakthrough Beverage?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now with Breakthrough Beverage, the municipal accounts receivable, the planning commission meetings, and the MPC minutes.
I'd make a motion for those items of the consent calendar.
I'll second.
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What are y'all sleeping? We just have two eyes?
In the future, we should do it without breakthrough and all the other stuff,
Yeah.
then I can vote, because the second one I can't. When it's with breakthrough beverage, I can't
Yeah.
vote, so.
That's why you lost.
Just
mine.
in the future.
One eye. Okay. Motion carries. Unfinished business and land purchase proposal for Rosemary Martin.
Okay, I just got to the county recorder's office this week for the easement. I have a copy of that. And I asked this be tabled until my attorney can interpret that easement, and then we can talk further.
Thank you.
I actually just heard back from the recorder's office today too on it, and they just gave me a whole bunch of different lots and portions of lots, so I'd have to interpret that myself before I can, because they didn't have anything recorded. I sent them what we had, and they didn't, there's no document number on it, so they went on a wild goose chase, so.
It was we thought it was later than it was. 1968, there is a recorded easement.
Okay.
And I sent that on to a realtor, a real estate attorney to give me a solid interpretation of what that is.
Yeah, all the recorder could tell was it was prior to 1987, so.
Oh, it was definitely prior to 1987.
Well, they're right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. They narrowed
Thank
it
you.
down, so.
Okay, we will leave that on unfinished business. New business, utility rate discussion.
I just put this on here for, just initiate, if there's any discussion on how you want to move forward with utility rates. You know, I know when they did the audit, you know, they had that as discussion for
Did they,
future, but.
and that wasn't the time to ask, but did they show, or can you go back and find where we're at as far as an increase in those two funds with that last raise in rates? Because you're 2 months behind, 3 months behind in the billing, so we approved it in September. That we wouldn't notice anything till like December.
We could maybe take however many months we've completed compared to those months.
For the year prior, to see where we are, and then, we gotta walk them up. It's just if we walk them up slower, you know, if we could have something to put on the agenda for next meeting to walk it up a little slower, and then see what progress we made on the last hike. And see if we're trending in the right direction before we go spend $18,000 to have somebody tell us how much to raise them.
Yeah.
Yet, spending that kind of money to tell people we're gonna raise their bills doesn't set well with me. So,
Yeah.
there's software out there where you can project that, or there was. The league, that's probably too long ago. They had a beta version on a long-term financial planning. You could do it for the whole budget, or you could do it for per fund to see what it would take in order to get where you need to go. And it was like $400 or $500, which is a whole lot cheaper than
Maybe you could see
$18,000.
if
We'll
it's
check with
still
the
open.
league, and I'll get with you on that a little bit too, because we're already starting it, but we'll check with the league and see what that is, and bring it to you at is it the 9th?
Yep.
9th, yep.
Bring it to you on the 9th.
Any more discussion about that? Anybody have any mayor, councilman communication?
Had one question from the public, chatted with Shane about it a little bit before the meeting. The land on the Highline Road where they're putting in the little solar farm, it's clarified the zoning on it. We should clarify what the tax base on that is, so now I'm sure it's just taxes or rural or ag land, which doesn't give the city much. But if we can get that changed to the tax it at the rate for the solar farm, we could generate some funds to help pay for some of the stuff we're spending money on.
So is that part of the other project out there?
No.
Well, I didn't think so. So who's putting that up?
I think it's the same company that's initiating the project, but it's between them and the
Revenue.
landowner, yeah. So it has nothing to do with us.
Nothing to do with the school, nothing to do with the city, it's just,
School's putting their own up and school lot and on both schools.
but if we could nail that down.
So when the school's putting theirs up on, I mean, this is their thing, but when they're putting theirs up on their thing, somebody brought to my attention that they did this down in New Mexico. When they put them up, they put them up like in the parking lot. But people could still park their car in it, and that would be shade for their car, but it wouldn't take up like their land. Somebody should mention that to them.
I don't know how far they are in.
Something for the high school kids to run into, or?
Snow plows to run into. And
Yeah, I would assume
Yeah,
that's probably
snowballs
got
would
to
probably
do
be
with
up
plowing, that they don't have to plow
Plowing,
down
yeah.
there.
That's true, snow.
That is-
I suppose New Mexico, they don't have to worry about snow plows.
well, it depends upon where you're at there.
That's true. Okay. Do we have-
The only other thing I have too, just driving around when people are cutting lawns, people keep blowing their grass clippings into the street. And we've asked 8 million times for them not to do it. So it's like it almost might be a time to let Jason have some fun with some people. Because there is the ordinance out there, is it a $25 fine if you get caught doing it? It's just something to make people aware of, and at some point in time, we're gonna have to put the hammer down on it and go, we can't be nice anymore. Because if it's gonna keep messing up the sewer system, it's like, can't keep repairing that either. So.
And it's one of them, if they do it, but they sweep up after themselves, then
That's a
it's not
different-
an issue, but leaving it
When
there
you're
is what
leaving
the
it
issue
there.
is.
Well, like, one example I know is someone that just recently purchased property in town here. I'm wondering if they're even knowledgeable about the ordinance, or if we need to just send a friendly letter stating, just to make you aware, we do have a ordinance stating, because it's the ones that just bought the fourplexes and they've blown out on the street this weekend.
Yeah, that was brought to my attention here tonight, so.
And that may be just finding out who it is mowing the lawn and
Oh,
saying,
we know who bought it.
but who's mowing the lawn is
Well,
different.
but that could be the owner's responsibility, because he's gonna get the fine. You know, if we could just send I want it to be a friendly thing, I don't want people not to
Right.
wanna live in Tracy, because we're gonna threaten them now because they mow grass put old grass into the streets. But just a friendly reminder that, you know, we do have a local ordinance stating this.
Isn't Bill still managing most of them?
He manages, I don't know who knows.
Let's see, can we just call Bill and remind him to tell whoever mows them?
I'm sure if Bill seen it, he's told him about it, because Bill was very
Yeah.
adamant about notifying the public all spring long, but quit
Yeah.
blowing your seed grass in the street, so if Bill has seen it, they should be aware of it by now.
We'll just send squadrons out at night with brooms
The mosquito spray.
and mosquito spray.
Found the skeeter sprayer on the broom.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, second?
First and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.